Okay, so I know I said we were doing Shika this week, and there were going to be a lot of Eldest come down over the next couple weeks, but patrons, of course, as you know if you've been with us for a while, have the power to cut the line with their requests. So, Shika will have to wait, as the next couple weeks of Wednesday afternoon worship belong to those who keep this channel rolling. This week, at the request of Dragon Ninehide, we're cracking open one of my favorite books, Book of the Damned, to talk about the overarching antagonist of the adventure path that he's playing through here on the channel, Wrath of the Righteous. That's right, kids. It's time for Baphomet. If you're liking what you're seeing, like and subscribe. If you want to hear more, ding the bell. If you have requests, in the comments they go. Remember that patronage at any tier gets you bumped up to the top of that line. And of course, today, this episode was brought to you in part by the man who requested it. In fact, Dragon Ninehide. Thanks for your help, my friend. Now, let's get evil. So, the name Baphomet on planet Earth is probably pretty familiar to a lot of us. It appeared in the trial transcripts for the Inquisition of the Knights Templar starting in 1307. It first came into popular English usage in the 19th century during debate and speculation on the reasons for the suppression of said Templars. And since 1856, the name Baphomet has been associated with the sabbatic goat image, containing binary elements representing the sum total of the universe. Male and female, good and evil, on and off, things like that. You might even remember back in 2014, the Satanic Temple commissioned an 8.5-foot tall statue of Baphomet to stand alongside a monument of the Ten Commandments at the Oklahoma State Capitol, citing a respect for diversity and religious minorities. After that monument was vandalized, plans to erect the statue were put on hold. Eventually, the Oklahoma Supreme Court declared all religious displays illegal, and on the 25th of July 2015, the statue is erected near a warehouse in Detroit, eventually even popping up in Little Rock, Arkansas, where another Ten Commandments monument had been installed. But that's neither here nor there. We're not about equality, we're not about all things as they should be. In Pathfinder, when we talk about Baphomet, we just basically keep the image. Of course, as we've talked about in our Iblados video, Baphomet traditionally is the god of the Minotaur race, and we homebrewed those guys, by the way. If you'd like to play a big angry bull dude, follow this card right up here. Present day though, his cult is on the rise amongst humanity. His human worshippers hold secret sermons in his name, and hand down his teachings along family lines across generations, forming clandestine societies that tend to hold great political power. They remain silent about their allegiance to Baphomet, cause it's a demon lord and they'll be in trouble, waiting for the time when Baphomet might call upon them to rise up against their enemies and return the world to the dominion of the beast. Worshippers refer to one another as Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, so there's a fun tie-in there, in honor of Baphomet's labyrinthine abyssal realm. Of course, as one could imagine, the Minotaurs worship in a little bit different of a way, being much less secretive about their faith and valuing Baphomet as the epitome of their kind. A Minotaur that worships Baphomet typically sets aside a portion of its maze lair as sacred to the god, where the walls are carved with prayers and only the devout are allowed to tread without fear of triggering magical traps. Baphomet himself, of course, appears as a lanky humanoid with a demonic goat's head. He's only rarely depicted without its glaive, which is a weapon said to be able to cause particularly horrid and painful wounds to good aligned targets. As the Lord of Minotaurs, Baphomet of course can summon a powerful member of this race to his side with a brief thought. I would say get this man a cheeseburger, but don't know how the Minotaurs will feel. Get this man a people burger. He is skinny. Anyway, Baphomet's incredibly intelligent and can make use of any language and utilize magic from scrolls with utmost skill. A long time ago, as one can imagine tying in the monster races, Lamashtu kept Baphomet as her personal consort, elevating him to the status of Demon Lord from the soul of the first Minotaur. In an ill-conceived attempt to gain even greater favor from his benefactor, Baphomet left Lamashtu's side to seek out a legendary trophy. Baphomet's ambition was as great as his folly, and he invaded the deepest layer of hell, intent on stealing Asmodeus' ruby rod for his mistress. Needless to say, he was swiftly caught. Lamashtu claimed no relation to him, and Asmodeus imprisoned Baphomet in a devious maze. that he proclaimed to be unsolvable even by the first Minotaur. The Archdevil also carved his own symbol into Baphomet's brow with the nail of his index finger in an attempt to, further subjugate the poor, long-lost cow. But not only did Baphomet solve the maze after, 10 years, but when he escaped, he took the world-sized labyrinth with him. Baphomet had changed over time, and while his physical form had become emaciated, he'd grown much wiser. He did not return to Lamashtu's side because, she sold him up the river. Good. Dump her 2019. Well done, Baphomet. Instead, taking this maze and making it his own, claiming a portion of the Abyss as his personal realm, known today, again, as the Ivory Labyrinth. The true size of this world maze is unknown, but it is certainly larger than most material plane worlds. Densely constructed cities, entire mountain ranges, plains of bones, sprawling underground reaches, swamps, tortuously winding rivers, and vast forests are but a sampling of the terrains explorers of the Ivory Labyrinth have reported. Yeah, you thought it was just a big dungeon, didn't you? Nope, not quite. All of which present their own unique and confounding variants on the realm's labyrinthine themes. Cities are composed of narrow alleys and tangled streets, mountain ranges are crisscrossed by winding ledges and craggy passes, forests are dense and riddled with trails and narrow paths. However, when one first travels here, the first maze encountered is always the Ivory Maze, for which the realm is named. A twisting complex of rooms and tunnels with walls, ceilings, and floors paved in countless bones. Now, it's been eons since Baphomet escaped hell and created his realm, and now the Lord of Minotaurs is a powerful demon lord in his own right. He's forgiven Lamashtu and sometimes, hits her up, but no longer is Lamashtu's subservient minion. His works to increase the influence of his cult on countless worlds increases, building his forces so that one day he might again invade hell. Yet next time, Baphomet plans on taking much more than Asmodeus' weapon. He intends to take his life, and of course, Baphomet plays a huge role in the Wrath of the Righteous adventure path, which we're not spoiling here. But as you might expect, yeah, he's got stats. And he's got obediences. We'll start this time with his stats, but before we do so, Adam, Tim, Nick, Jason, thank you for your support on Patreon. This is a Wrath of the Righteous spoiler, as I'm sure at some point, whether it be in the narrative or in the I'm going to challenge you, you will encounter this. Do not cheat. I will change it if you cheat. Now, anyway, Baphomet is a CR27 creature. 3,276,800 experience points if you bring this bad boy to the ground. And like all demon lords, he's got a host of abilities: resurrecting in the abyss, a frightful presence, unholy aura, the ability to detect the opposite alignments, massive armor class, and spell resistance. Today, of course, we're just gonna hit his special abilities and his super sweet weapon, which is known in fact as Izergal, which is Labyrinth's final edge in Abyssal. This is a uniquely shaped glaive, the head of which consists of a double blade akin to a crescent moon. The blade itself is made of ivory, but is razor sharp and as hard as adamantine, and of course acts like adamantine for all your door-sundering needs. It's a +5, lawful outsider bane, unholy wounding glaive, capable of inflicting particularly horrible and painful wounds on good aligned targets and devils. Such a creature must succeed at a DC 38 Fortitude save each time it's wounded by Izergal, or be sickened for as long as the damage caused by the wound persists. Whether the save passes or fails, these wounds don't heal naturally, and resist magical healing. A character attempting to heal these wounds must succeed at a DC 32 caster level check, or the healing has no effect on the injured creature. Also, Baphomet is treated as a 20th level fighter, for the purposes of filling any feat prereqs, such as weapon specialization, cause he's real good at fighting with that glaive. In addition, like we once said, the mark of Asmodeus is branded on this dude's brow. This brand is not a mark of fealty or servitude, rather, Baphomet has claimed the pentagram as a remnant of the time he spent as Asmodeus' prisoner. He now draws power from it, thus granting him the devil-like abilities. That's a fun way to word a spell-like ability. Well, actually, it's a supernatural. Yenu of fire immunity and see in darkness. In addition, if you're a devil or if you worship a devil, you take a -2 penalty on saving throws against Baphomet's special attacks and spell-likes, And Baphomet gets a +4 on caster level checks to penetrate a devil's SR, and automatically penetrates a devil's damage reduction with his glaive, and his bite, and his gore natural attacks. But you know, when Baphomet would prefer to talk to folks, Baphomet can in fact speak, read, and understand all languages, and he can cast from any scroll, as if he possessed the spell on a spell list. Spells he casts from scrolls always resolve at caster level 27th. And in case, you know, this gigantic CR27 guy needs help, Baphomet can summon half-fiend Minotaurs, the iconic art from Bestiary 1, well done, Labyrinth Minotaurs, which appear directly in Wrath of the Righteous, and Mythic Minotaurs, as if casting Summon Monster. He can summon 8 half-fiend Minotaurs 3 times a day, and 4 Mythic Minotaurs, or 1 Labyrinth Minotaur once per day. So snap your fingers, get some reinforcements, I can dig it. This ability functions as a swift action, but otherwise works like the summon universal monster rule with a 100% chance of success, and counts as a 9th level spell effect. Of course, all those Minotaurs would, you know, prevent him from being lost, if not for the fact that Baphomet is never caught flat-footed. He also gains a +8 bonus on initiative, nice, is immune to maze spells, and can never become lost. He always knows the shortest, most direct route through any maze. After spending a minute in any maze, he understands the entire layout implicitly and can teleport to any location using his greater teleport spell-like ability. Seems fair, balanced, sure. And now, you know, if you want to worship this demon lord, he's got that Book of the Damned obedience paths that we've come to love. The lord of the Minotaurs himself, of course, is chaotic evil. His domains are animal, chaos, evil, and strength, with the subdomains demon, ferocity, fur, and resolve. His favorite weapon is the glaive, and his unholy symbol is a brass minotaur's head with ruby eyes. To perform his obedience, remain motionless for 55 minutes. Man, that's boring, but okay, sure, Baphomet, deal. And then spend 5 minutes speaking 50 observations regarding your surroundings into a hollowed out bull's horn. In return, you become immune to maze. Take that, otherworldly kimono, and a +4 profane bonus on saving throws against confusion and insanity effects. Evangelist boons grant us pass without trace thrice a day, undetectable alignment twice a day, or clairaudience clairvoyance once a day. At 16th level, as a reward for your devotion to him, Baphomet grants you the power to make pawns of the weak-willed and spread your influence amongst the ignorant masses. Thrice a day, you get mass suggestion as a spell-like ability, and at 20th level, you can conjure an agent of the abyss to spread demonic intrigues and tempt the foolish. Once per day, as a standard action, you can conjure a Glabrazu to your location. It remains for a minute per hit dice. It's a calling effect. The Glabrazu is not under your control, but it generally aids you and follows your directives. The Glabrazu is loath to employ its wish ability for you, preferring instead to offer it to others as a bargaining chip on your behalf or to tempt foolish mortals. Fun! The ability always calls that same Glabrazu. If the Glabrazu conjured this way is slain, you can't use this for a month, but that's the only summon thing so far in the boon paths that we've seen that's playable. At least in this one's humble opinion. None of that, here's a crappy thing, if you're not its alignment it might fight you. No, that's go tempt people to make horrible mistakes with wishes. I'm here for it. Anyway, Exalted Boons. It's Summon Monster 1 thrice a day, Misdirection twice a day, or Beast Shape 1 once a day. At level 16, once per day, you can change shape as per the Universal Monster ability into a Minotaur for an hour. When you do so, you gain a +4 size bonus to Strength and take a -2 penalty to Charisma. If you're already a Minotaur, this ability instead allows you to assume a small, medium, or large humanoid form at will. This change of form does not alter your ability scores, but is a polymorph effect, and at 20th you can cast Maze with the benefits of Extend spell as a spell like once a day. I mean, that's a thing. Do you want to play a bull, man? Well, this will help you do that. But for now, Sentinel Boons. It's in large person. Thrice a day, Bull's Strength. Yeah, sure. Seems, you know, flavorful twice a day. Or non-detection once a day. At 16th level, to aid in your profane crusade against the cult's many enemies, Baphomet sends one of the flesh-eating bulls of the Ivory Labyrinth to slaughter and feed at your side. Nice. You gain an Aurochs animal companion as a druid of a level equal to your hit dice -4, which of course means immediately as soon as you get another feat, we grab Boon Companion and get that all the way up there. in addition to any animal companions you already have. Nice! What's better than an aurochs that eats flesh? Two aurochs that eat flesh. Fun! The animal companion possesses the Fiendish template, an extra planar subtype, along with a bite attack that does a d6 points of damage. Any day on which you fail to perform your obedience, the beast vanishes back to the Ivory Labyrinth. If returned to the Abyss, whether by this or by other means, it returns to you when you next perform your obedience, along with all the gear that you've been putting on your animal companion. Bully! I had to make that joke at least once. Anyway, to 20th level, you gain the Change Shape Universal Monster ability, allowing you to assume the form of an ivory-colored gorgon as per Beast Shape 4. Although you can activate this ability only once a day, the new form lasts indefinitely. If you lose access to this boon by failing to perform your obedience, you cannot change forms or return to your true form until you perform the obedience again, or the effect is otherwise ended. Otherwise, you're a giant construct bull monster. Again, I'm gonna say it one more time, still relevant. Bully! Now, this normally would be the part of the video where I give you our custom anti-paladin code. However, since Baphomet is so important in the Wrath of the Righteous adventure path, I figure I'd rather highlight that, because the commandments of Baphomet's clerics work pretty well for an anti-paladin code. They go as such. Cleverness is strength. Though many beasts are openly aggressive, others hunt best by biding their time, allowing prey to grow weak and then striking when opportunity presents itself. The Minotaur hunts in the maze not by climbing over the walls, but by following along them and knowing where his target's path leads. Second commandment, follow the twisting path. In any maze, there are dead ends and places where you must backtrack to make progress. Allow for these setbacks. Sometimes, you must wander before discovering a better path to your goal. Anticipate where your adversaries may become lost, be watchful lest prey become predator, and find opportunities for you to turn the tables on those hunting you. The beast takes its time, final commandment for Baphomet's followers. If something can't harm you and you gain nothing by killing it, let it be. Destroying a non-threat is a waste of power. Worse, it may reveal your strength to unknown enemies. It's better to let a weak creature escape than to expose your throat to a greater threat. Petty displays of aggression are only good for acquiring mates, not achieving victory. Only show your strength when you absolutely need to. And yeah, that's a little less than the standard anti-paladin code, but we get a lot more wording there, and I'm pretty sure that's more than enough for an anti-paladin of Baphomet to have something to play off. Honestly, it's a lot more than a lot of deities that just have 5 bullet points. Now, as for our post-Planar Adventures boon for completing a crusade, Baphomet grants you the ability to cast Modify Memory once, saving throw 10 plus half your hit dice plus, let's say, your intelligence. Baphomet seems clever, except Baphomet's special Modify Memory can modify up to 24 hours, rather than 5 minutes of memories. Now, Baphomet is kind of a dichotomy, and I really like it. Baphomet's fate has enemies on several sides of the alignment chart, whether that be Hell and Asmodeus, or all the LGs who will see Demon Lords shout, "Deus Vult!" and, well, go have a hamburger. And that makes for a really interesting, agent of destruction and things. When you think the god of the Minotaurs, at least I myself think slaughtering humanoids, eating them, hunting for sport in a labyrinth, being super bestial, especially considering Baphomet's domains. I don't expect animal, chaos, evil, and strength to also come with the intelligence to, temper them so you don't die a horrible death from all sides, which makes Baphomet, again, all the more interesting. If I were to play a character who worshipped Baphomet, honestly, I'd play him a little more like someone who worshipped, say, Asmodeus, or a lawful evil devil, somewhere in an urban setting where their faith cannot be openly displayed, except for the fact that when time comes, I imagine it's super gross and super gory, but most of the time, probably, unless you roll bad, no one suspects your allegiance to Baphomet's cult. Now, GMing for someone who worships Baphomet definitely fits right into that evil intrigue game for the same reasons. Of course, if we all played Minotaurs or some kind of other monstrous something or other out in the wild, it's a different story. But it basically, again, comes down to the lawful evil worshipper of the secret god, or like Norgabur. Follow this card right up here, by the way, if you want to learn more about the assassin god of Pathfinder, except for the fact that you're on the side of the alignment spectrum where usually it's more bash your face into a table, then bash your opponent's face into the same table, then bash your friend's face into the table, and murder and hobo, and murder and hobo. I'm sure, again, that probably happens in the last couple rounds of the session, but up until then, no one suspected it. I love it. And of course, Baphomet is going to be all over the channel in the coming, probably, really long time, given how long adventure paths are, because our bi-weekly group is in fact running through Wrath of the Righteous, where Baphomet is the biggest, baddest, most evilest of guys, at least as far as my players know, before I brew up that continuing the adventure part. Man, there's going to be a lot of demon lords killed, and I'm really looking forward to it. Hope to see you guys there, but that's all the time we have today. What do you guys think of Baphomet? Have we used him in an encounter? Have we worshipped him? Have we played Wrath of the Righteous? Without spoilers, let me know how it went for you down in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. Now, I misspoke on the last episode of the Forgotten Race review. I forgot old Michael Baker's got 2 requests coming down this week. So Monday will not be the Angelkin. Actually, it will be the Half Succubus template. Super fun. And next week on Wednesday Afternoon Worship, we'll be homebrewing the Greek god Priapus. See you then.